So perfect. All right, so this is Reese Wallace with Mr. Lyght, a scout from Chester, Pennsylvania. When were you a scout, sir?
The Jamboree was in 1950.
Excellent.
That's a long time ago.
It's not that long ago. You're just experienced.
Okay.
No
That's
such
one
thing
way
as
to put it.
no such thing as old, just experience.
Right.
Okay, so what was it like being in Troop 23 at St. Daniel's?
Well, at Troop 23 at St. Daniel's United Methodist Church was a great experience. The church is located at 4th and Edward Street in Chester, Pennsylvania. Our scoutmaster was Mr. West, and I'm sure we'll get to him a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of background, we met on Monday evening, and I joined scouting in 1948, and our scout troop included 2 patrols, and I was the patrol leader. One interesting note was that we didn't have any uniforms, no uniforms, but we were scouts. And we advanced from tenderfoot to first class through second class. And my scoutmaster wanted to send a representative from our troop to the Jamboree. And so he decided to ask my mother to chair a church dinner in which the scouts would deliver meals to members of the church, or some people would even come by and buy the meal at the church, so that we could raise enough money for me to get one uniform or a couple of uniforms in order to wear to the Jamboree. And so we did that. It was a successful event, and I went to the Jamboree and had a great experience.
Excellent. So, just a follow-up question about not having uniforms. Was it just cost prohibitive, and that's why you didn't have uniforms, or was it just not the style?
It was cost prohibitive. The members of our church were not rich people, and the money was spent elsewhere. Let's put it like that.
I gotcha. Okay. And then, could you tell me more about your scoutmaster, Mr. Joseph West? What was he like?
He was a very nice man. As a matter of fact, he was a school teacher at Douglas Junior High School in Chester, Pennsylvania. He was the father of 4 daughters, and they didn't have any sons. But he loved boys, and he enjoyed working with the Boy Scouts. He took us on hikes and camping trips. He taught us all about the Scout Oath, and the Scout motto. And he taught us how to tie the Scout knots and how to use a compass. And even taught us through learning how to pass the test for merit badges. And he was just an all-around a good man. All the boys loved him.
Very good. So he was critical in getting you to the 1950 Jambo, correct?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. I didn't even know anything about it, but he knew all about it and talked to me about it, and talked to all the boys about it. He didn't decide, or he didn't tell who was going to be the boy that was going to be selected. So he waited until after we had the dinner, and he selected me. I think I was a first-class scout by that particular time.
Oh, okay. So what was the 1950 Jamboree like?
Well, as you know, the Jamboree was held in Valley Forge in 1950, and scouts from all over the world came. As a matter of fact, there were over 47,000 scouts from all over the world who attended the Jamboree, and all of the campsites there were very beautiful, and the quartermaster had a difficult job providing the logistical support for the food. That was one of the biggest missions that we had out there, to cook our food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our campsite had 4 patrols, about 45 scouts altogether. And Mr. Pierce was the scoutmaster for the Jamboree troop from Chester, and Mr. Curl and Mr. Fitzsimons were the assistant scoutmasters. And we were required to keep a neat and orderly campsite, and we visited other campsites, and we went to the quartermaster store and bought goodies and fellowship with scouts from all around.
Excellent. So, what was your favorite part of the jamboree?
Well, one of my favorite things that happened at the Jamboree was that President Truman spoke at a very large outdoor arena where all the scouts were seated on these very large logs. And he drove right by our troop as we were marching to the arena site, and he stopped, and I was within 20 feet of the president. I thought that was a great thing. And General Eisenhower also spoke to all 47,000 scouts on another evening. A highlight of the Jamboree was when I was selected to represent our scout troop from Chester in a 4-man scout honor guard for the entire state of Pennsylvania. I was really proud of that. The assistant scoutmaster named Bob Curl was the guy who selected me for that venture, and I was always appreciative of him. As a matter of fact, I went to his house one day for a merit badge, and he tested me, and fortunately I passed. And his wife cooked some pork chops, and it was interesting to know that the pork chops that she fixed were one inch thick pork chops. I had never seen a pork chop that thick. I ate one pork chop, and then she asked me if I wanted another. I lied and said no. Another thing that happened was the Chester Times newspaper reporter came to our campsite to take my picture because of the honor guard thing. But I was not there at the time. But he did go back and write an article on it that appeared in the newspaper, and my family told me that my mother shed tears of joy for the honor that had been bestowed upon me.
That's awesome. That's very awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you had that experience. So what was it like being the only scout of color in your Jambo troop?
Yes, I was the only black scout in our troop. I was a little bit apprehensive about it. I believe the other boys were also a little apprehensive of it. At first, it was very lonely. My patrol leader, David Soul, led the scouts in our patrol in a situation where we were picking tent mates. Nobody selected me, but there was one tent that David Soul had. That was his tent, and he said, "I guess you'll have to be my tent mate." And so I moved my duffel bag into the tent and arranged my equipment accordingly. At first, my experience was not very good. No one used profanity at me or called me any names or anything like that. They observed me for 2 or 3 days and became very receptive to my cooking because I was the best cook in the patrol. And they learned to respect me because I was hard worker, I was smart, and I was a good athlete. About 50 years after the Jamboree, I called David Soul, who didn't treat me that nicely at the Jamboree. He was a bit standoffish and very reserved. But I just called him up 50 years later. He remembered me, and he was extremely nice to me on the phone and very, very pleasant, very receptive to my call. We told each other about our families and what our occupations were. And he even he even sent me some pictures, one of which I included in a book that I wrote. I told him that I was a lieutenant colonel in the Army and retired, and I was a deputy police chief in Savannah, Georgia, and I was also the police chief in Flint, Michigan, and he was very surprised at my accomplishments. On another occasion, I called Paul Dunyan, who was a member of the troop, and I remember very well because of he and his father treated me extremely nicely. He was living in Millsboro, Delaware, and he had gotten his doctorate degree and was a high executive in a DuPont company in Delaware, where he was employed as a chemical engineer. We had a very nice conversation as we met in Millsboro, Delaware, because my aunt also lived there. And we had a very nice conversation, and we enjoyed our company.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm glad the boys warmed up to you and learned to respect you, because you seem like a very upstanding gentleman to me. So you're worthy of respect. But I don't need to be saying that. You're worthy of respect just innately.
Thank you.
So, how has scouting impacted your life?
Well, scouting has helped me to develop my self-confidence, my leadership skills, my academic skills, and gave me the citizenship skills that have influenced my life.
Mm-hmm.
Scouting has impacted my education because I got a college degree from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, and took part in the ROTC program, became a second lieutenant, and then I even went on to get my master's degree in criminal justice. And scouting has really impacted my life. I think about it quite a bit. And it was scouting gave me a kind of a roadmap to all the things that I needed to do to go through the ranks in the Army, become a lieutenant colonel, and then become later on a police chief at Flint, Michigan.
Gotcha. Okay. So besides the 1950 Jamboree, what was your favorite memory from scouting?
Other than the Jamboree itself, my favorite memory is of Paul Dunyan that I just talked about a few minutes ago, and his father. We became fairly close, and he used to come by my home and take me on many scouting trips, took me to Camp Reeves, took me on hikes, took me to museums and other scout outings. And I didn't even have a bicycle at that time. And but we enjoyed. I enjoyed his company and the company of his son, and that is perhaps one of the best memories that I have of scouting.
I love that. Very good. So, what advice do you have for scouts of color that are active nowadays?
Well, lots of gains have been made in race relations in this country, as we all know, but there's still some obstacles that need to be overcome.
Mm-hmm.
I would advise Black Scouts that scouting gives you a roadmap to success, and that you ought to participate in scouting as one of the things that you do to get yourself ready for adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
I would advise them to take their academics seriously and to study hard and to develop a work ethic so that they can survive. I also think that they should learn to write well and to be proficient in public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they must choose their friends closely and hang out with the right crowd. They should also take college preparatory courses if possible in high school, and if not, they should take vocational courses because lots of money can be made in the trade. One other thing, I would tell them, don't waste time because time is very precious.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow up on it if you want to.
That's some excellent advice. My father also taught me the need for being able to speak well in public and to write well. My father ingrained that in me, so I love that you have the same advice as well. So, just some other questions that I've been thinking of as we've been chatting. So,
Sure.
in scouting, what was the highest rank you achieved?
Oh, that's an interesting story. I became a life scout.
Okay.
I had 27 merit badges. I believe back
Oh,
then you
okay.
needed 23, 25, something like that. But I couldn't swim.
Oh.
I could not swim. I did not have an opportunity to swim, and so I wasn't able to obtain uh, the Eagle Scout medal. But I also did not pass. I did not take the bird study uh, merit badge, and I'm sure all the stuff has changed. We're talking 73 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing about the fact that I didn't swim, I taught my I made sure that my children could swim, and they became very good swimmers. As a matter of fact, my oldest daughter became an All-American swimmer at the University of Rochester, and my son was the captain of the Air State team for 2 years, and of course my other son, he was a good swimmer also, but he played. He went to Notre Dame, graduated, and he also played professional football for 12 years. And so participation in athletics is also something that I would advise any scout to participate in,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily to go on a college scholarship, but to also be able to enjoy himself, water skiing and so forth, and also saving someone else's life if that became necessary.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you ever go to summer camp?
Summer camp for scouting.
Yeah.
I went to Camporese, which lasted 2 or 3 days, but I never went to a scouting summer camp.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then, were you ever a member of the Order of the Arrow?
No, it was not. No, it
Okay.
was not. I wanted to get into that, but my father moved from Chester, Pennsylvania to Atlantic City, New Jersey. And, there were no scouts in our particular neighborhood.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, anything you would like to talk about, I'd be happy to talk about it if I can. Otherwise, I'll tell you I don't know.
Okay. Let me think of something.
Okay?
So, your troop, you joined in 1948. How
Yes.
how large was your troop?
Our troop consisted of about 14 boys for all together, but we generally had about 10 scouts at each meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That was over about a 3 year period.
Gotcha. Okay. And how many adult leaders did you have? Was it just Mr. West?
We had another adult leader who also was a Life Scout. He was an older fellow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he never became a Naval Scout. But when I went to the Valley Forge Jamboree, and prior to going to the Jamboree, I'd heard about jobs at the Jamboree that one could work at. And so I told him about that. And so his name was Walter Smith. And uh, Walter Smith came out and worked. And he also helped me a lot in scouting too. As a matter of fact, at the Jamboree, the main pair of shoes that I had to wear, the sole came off. But I had bought some moccasins, and he helped me to put the moccasins together. And so the last couple of days at the Jamboree, I was wearing my moccasins, and they were very, very, very comfortable. Another thing, a few years ago, maybe 6, 7 years ago, I called St. Daniel's Church and see if I could find Walter Smith. And what happened was that his wife answered the phone at the church, and and she told me that he had passed away. So I was very sad about that. And I did see Mr. West about 10 years, no more than that, about 20 years after I left Chester, Pennsylvania, and he was still teaching at Douglas Junior High School, and we had a very nice conversation.
Gotcha. So how long were you in scouting?
I was in scouting for about 4 years altogether. That is all.
Okay.
4 years.
Well, that's still impressive, especially that you made life. I mean,
Yeah.
4 years is a good amount. So, very good. Okay. So you moved, and that's what caused you to kind of drop out of scouting?
Yeah, because there was no scout troop in my area. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of wish there was a scout troop for you.
Yeah.
It's something I strive to do. I don't know if I ever told you, but I work for the Scouts professionally. So one of my jobs is to start troops and packs and make sure scouting's available to as many youth as possible.
Right.
So that hurts my heart a little bit that there wasn't a scout troop near you, because you would have been a natural fit for scouting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was a typical day at the Jamboree like? What kind of activities did you do? What kind of things did you see? What kind of people did you meet?
Well, we met people from all over the world. It was really funny talking to scouts from foreign countries. And sometimes most of them that we were talking to could speak English, and so we could communicate with them well. A lot of items were traded between troops at the Jamboree. And one of the major things that was traded and was most popular in trades was some of the troops some of the scouts from Texas had horned frogs, live horned frogs that scouts traded them for a neckerchief or some other scouting equipment. And we of course, we spent a lot of time at the campsite because we ate breakfast. We got up in the morning. We bathed and had breakfast. And sometimes the scoutmaster would have some activity for us to participate in. But most of the afternoon, we spent roaming around the Jamboree campsite in Valley Forge, and I must have put many miles on my feet during that particular time. And that's what I remember. Of course, that was 73 years ago, so it's hard to remember any specifics.
I gotcha. Well, I appreciate you sharing with me what you do remember. I think you remember quite a lot for how long ago it was. So I'm going to stop the recording here, and then we'll chat a little bit just about next steps, I guess.
Okay.